On December 4th, Terso had an incident where some of their free tiered databases were both leaking data and also led to some data loss. I want to talk about this incident and how it was handled by the Terso team and what they've done already to build trust back in the community after an incident like this. So what did actually happen? Well, a small percentage of their databases were incorrectly configured and didn't have a correct backup identifier. Then on December 1st, internal procedures led to those being used to recreate databases. This was then reported and then fixed the same day. So the first question is, why did it only affect these free tiers? Well, what happens is with Terso and many other database companies is they have this scale to zero after 1 hour of inactivity. This is very similar. Other companies do it as well. And then once you hit the network again, let's say someone makes a request to your app or you're in development and you make a request, then with a small amount of latency, that's then scaled back up and then you're using it. And Terso using fly.io, essentially what they do is they then go and restore it through a process. And then if it fails, they just destroy the machine themselves and then recreate it from the S3, which is described right here in this article. And with any database company or any provider, at some point you have to migrate your databases from an old version to a new version. And in that, essentially what they did was instead of having something like this, which is the S3 bucket with a backup ID, they essentially had this, which pointed to no backup ID. So when they went to go and do a restore because it had scaled down to 0, instead of having this backup ID, which they could then reference and then use to build out the machine again, essentially what they would do is sell a null. This null would then return the data for all of the nulls, and you would receive data from people that may not be yours. So to fix this and remediate this problem, essentially what they did was go back and restore all of the databases that had missing parameters and set them to the correct parameters to restore their data. So all the data that came past December 1st, they essentially just said, let's just discard all of that, which led to the data loss. Now, this is incredibly smart because we don't know if the data was actually leaked between all of these different databases. So instead of them having to worry about, well, you know, Johnny's database over here now has Steve's data in it, and for some reason, you know, it's still there today, they just discarded all of that data, which makes sense. And that means that there won't be any reason for Steve's to be in Johnny's and Johnny's to be in Steve's. It's just your data and it's the data that you own. So to fix this, all they had to do was look for the faulty backup IDs. And if they didn't have one, they could essentially say, this is a bad one, this is a good one, etc., etc. So they just went through and restored all of that data. So from there, they've remediated it and now they've restored it. Now we can talk about the lessons that they actually learn and why these are really good. So the first thing that Globber here identifies is that they have not fully reviewed every piece of code related to the incident, but they've already either fixed and or are planning to fix big ticket items here, which in turn will make sure that these things don't happen again. So first, internal checks for both our control plane and the data plane to make sure that backups are done correctly. This also means data isolation in our backups will also be improved. They also have added ability to check for these faulty configurations and then figure out how to either self-heal or say red alert, send page duty, whatever it might be, to then say, hey, by the way, this is broken. We need to fix this ASAP. And that will allow them to keep this from happening again. They've improved their deployment methods, which is really good. So they've probably gone in and added some additional configuration to their fly and also to the S3 backup retrieval to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And then, of course, they've added better mechanisms because it's important that you can report these incidents to people. Finally, one of the biggest things that I think is super important about this entire thing was that Globber and the team immediately after having this been fixed was to bring out this blog post, which came out the day after they had gone through and remediated everything and put some fixes in place. They also gave everybody lifetime access to the scaler plan. So if you were affected, they basically gave you what is their premium plan for Terso. They admitted it online. They told everybody what had happened. They tweeted about it. They brought it up in discussions and they handled it really professionally and really quickly. So in the future, we can trust that if a security incident is reported at Terso, that it will be handled swiftly, effectively, and they will let the entire world know why this has happened. So if you've made it to the end of the video, click right here. It'll be another video, algorithm driven. I don't decide what it is, but YouTube knows you better than I do. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, it's free. Click right here and I'll see you in the next one.